Maryland Oral History Project is home to stories and reflections from inspirational figures across our state. The achievements of extraordinary Marylanders, whether in business, the arts, education, athletics, or advocacy, are captured in this series in their own words. Hello, I'm Travis Mitchell, Senior Vice President and Chief Content Officer here at Maryland Public Television. And today I have the privilege of having a conversation with a very talented and extraordinary leader, Dr. Aminta H. Breaux, the 10th president of Bowie State University. An accomplished scholar with over 30 years of experience in higher education, Dr. Breaux previously served in key roles at Millersville University, University of the Sciences, and Drexel University. Dr. Breaux earned a BA and PhD in psychology from Temple University and an MS from the University of Pennsylvania. Dr. Breaux, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Travis, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
We're going to talk a little bit about your tenure at Bowie, but why don't you take us back? Tell us a little bit about how you grew up and where you're from and maybe your journey to Bowie.
Well, my journey to Bowie, I have to take you back to the city of brotherly love in Philadelphia. I have to take you back. West Philadelphia, and you know how the end of that sentence goes, born and raised. Grew up in West Philadelphia and in a family of educators, and my father was an educator at the high school level, also a coach of Olympic track and field athletes, and he always instilled in myself and my siblings that value of education. And so I went on from high school to Temple, as you mentioned, my master's from Penn. Always wanted to do something in education, helping others. And I have a background in counseling and psychology and always wanted to give back and feel that I was lifting others up. And so it starts with my career at the University of Pennsylvania. I went there, believe it or not, right out of high school with an undergraduate degree in psychology. Okay. And not much you can do with psychology, and so I knew I had to go back to graduate school. At the undergraduate level, it's just not a lot of opportunities. But there was a great opportunity to go into career counseling, and it was aligned with my background in psychology. I was only going to be there a short time to save up some money and go back to graduate school. That short temporary experience ended up being 10 years at Penn. At Penn. I learned so much there in counseling. I went on to get my master's degree from there, and that just opened up a whole other world to me that I really didn't know much about. And so from there, I stayed in higher education. That wasn't the original plan. I wanted to stay in education, but wasn't sure it was higher ed. And so
were you thinking about pre-K to 12, pre-K-12?
I knew it was going to be in education. You know, from the time I was a little girl, again, with my father being an educator, you know, it's all about who you know and seeing those role models and what you see.
Now, was he the only educator in your family, or is it a family of additional educators?
Well, I would say a lot of people around me, his friends, you know, they were role models for me. And so that was always instilled in me that you're going on for higher ed. I don't think anybody ever asked me, was I going to college? It was just always assumed that I was going to go on. And so I stayed in higher education. It's been, my profile says 35 plus years. I just stopped there. It's a little bit more than that.
We'll keep it at 35.
Let's keep it at 35 plus. We can do that.
All right.
But from Penn, I went on to work with students in career counseling at Drexel University. I was there for another 10 years and had so much opportunity opened up to me. I was asked to take on more and more responsibility. And before I left there, I was assistant provost working on the academic side of the house. Drexel is a very, very unique place. They're known for their co-op program, experiential learning. And that is what my dissertation is on, experiential learning. And I believe so much in experiential learning, co-op, internships, service learning, where students have a chance to deepen their learning and understanding of the world, how they connect the classroom learning into the real world. So from Drexel, went on to a very small niche school called the University of the Sciences. It was known as the first college of pharmacy in the country. Very unique program. Right next to the University of Pennsylvania.
Okay,
so on one side, if you know Philadelphia, There's Penn, on one side is Drexel, on the other side was U Sciences. I ran out of West Philadelphia schools, and so I just kept going west. I went out to Lancaster, Pennsylvania after that, after 8 years at U Sciences, and went to Millersville, my first experience with a public university in my career, and that was amazing. Very different environment from growing up in the city in Philly, and Lancaster County is a beautiful area. That's where Millersville is based. Great arts community and wonderful close-knit community. Was there for almost 10 years there before going to my wonderful Bowie State University. And you know, for me, going back to Bowie is like going home, because my first year, what you might not see in my profile, I actually started out my experience in college at Lincoln University in Pennsylvania.
Tell us
Spent
about that.
1 year
Okay.
at Lincoln University. It was an amazing, wonderful experience. Really enjoyed it. Met a lot of people, felt that familial environment, nurturing environment that our HBCUs are known for. And I still stay in touch with my classmates from that year. And it's really amazing that after all these years, we still stay in touch. But that speaks to the environment and the feeling you get and the experience you get when you go to an HBCU. I transferred to Temple. I'm a city girl, and Lincoln was a little far out of the city, so I transferred back to Temple. But I think a testament to our HBCUs is the fact that I still know people from that 1 year at Lincoln University.
Wow. Now, Millersville is in a rural area. Amish country is in Lancaster. And so you come to Bowie, which is located incredibly in between D.C. and Baltimore and Prince George's County.
Beautiful Prince George's County.
And you tell that story better than most. What was it about coming to Maryland, coming to Bowie, that attracted you to the position? You're an accomplished scholar, you're well regarded, and so you decide to take up the challenge to become the 10th president of Bowie. What was the attraction for you?
There were so many elements to that decision. There are many opportunities that I saw in just reading about the presidential position, but it is about the history, the culture that's there on the campus and in the surrounding area. You know, an institution is the oldest HBCU in the state of Maryland, founded in 1865, and it's thriving in Prince George's County. It has this unique experience being so close to Washington, D.C., close to Baltimore, close to Annapolis, in this idyllic area. Beautiful campus, over 330 acres of beautiful campus in Prince George's County. Easy access. There's a train station, takes you right into the city if you want the hustle and bustle of D.C. or coming up to Baltimore. But if you want a rich learning experience, excellence is what I saw on the campus in teaching, in research. I was amazed. I read mostly about the teaching aspect of Bowie State University, but then as I delved deeply into the full breadth of BSU, what I saw was excellence in teaching, research, the service components. It's a public university, part of the University System of Maryland, and it truly is here for the public good. Our students give back, and that's that deep sense of history. And I see that in the students every day, that they want to make the place better than how they found it, and that's the legacy, and that speaks to my heart. It speaks to who I am as a leader, how I have gone through this journey in my life, being inspired by role models who ingrained that in me. You know, you're not just here to sit in a seat. You need to leave your mark. You need to look out for others. You know, this doesn't just happen.
Yes.
You know, I think about my own ancestors and how they opened the door for me to be where I am. My grandmother came to this country in the early 1900s from Cartagena, Colombia, with the goal of becoming a physician. She faced incredible, insurmountable obstacles to doing that, but she didn't give up. She made sure that she got her education, made sure that each one of her children understood the value of education. So I see it as part of my sense of purpose to give back, to create these opportunities for children, our youth, to have the way forward. And so at Bowie, you see that, you feel it. When you come onto our campus, there's a different feeling you get. You feel that people care. They wanted, my visitors to the campus, they come in and they say, you know, is it like this every day? And I'll say, what do you mean? Well, along the way to your office, I was stopped by, you know, 2 or 3 people saying, are you okay? Do you know where you're going? Because we're looking out for each other. So it's that deep sense of purpose that's on the campus, and it excites me. It truly excites me.
One of the things that I admire, and I told you I'm going to try not to be chief cheerleader while we're having this conversation, but I'm a big fan of what you've been able to do. And part of that is because I've kind of observed you in different settings. And what you're talking about in terms of purpose and the importance of providing an environment for your students, I've kind of watched you engage with very powerful and influential people across the state and the nation in different settings. And you've never once failed to stop to acknowledge one of your students or stop what you're doing to speak to your students. And I kind of want to go back to growing up with educators. My mother, we share somewhat of a history. My mother was an educator. I didn't think any other jobs existed other than education. And she brought her work home with her. She felt it. And so the needs of her students is meeting the needs is what drove her as a counselor and later as a principal. We were talking about commencement, and I asked you a question. I said, well, when you are graduating a class and you see a student walk across the stage, what runs across your mind? Can you share a little bit of what you shared with me, with our audience?
Well, what comes into my mind is the thought of my ancestors in my family, but those in higher education that came before me too. I have a deep sense of obligation and a commitment to ensure that I continue that legacy. And what I want to speak to also is the joy that I have in my heart. When I see students go across that stage, I get filled up, I do. I look out and I see their families cheering them, celebrating, you hear the horns going off. But it starts with having that deep sense of pride that we've arrived at this point, and a sense of purpose, that I'm here for a reason. This doesn't just happen by accident. And so I think about my ancestors, I think about, you know, my grandmother, I think about my father, and all of those who came before, who fought so hard for us to have this privilege, this right to education. So to see, you know, the hundreds of students out there who are ready to embark on their journey in their lives beyond the walls of Bowie State University, it fills me up. So it's about the thoughts, but it's also the feeling that I have on that day. And then I look at my team that throughout each year we're working hard. When we have a saying on the campus, racing to excellence is the name of our strategic plan, but it's more about a mantra that we feel that we need to race, we need to pick it up and make sure that these students and those coming behind them have these opportunities. So I look around at my team and I know that they work so hard, and yet here we are. We did it, and there's that sense of pride. You know, you want to feel that, you know, all of this is what it's for. When I look out there, this is what it's all about. Those students getting ready to go out on this next leg of their journey.
In the words of Fresh Prince, which we alluded to earlier, West Philadelphia, born and raised.
Yes.
Through Millersville, you're here at Bowie some 8 years ago, I believe, 7, 8 years ago.
Yes, coming up on 8 years in July.
What are you most proud about in terms of what you have accomplished and your team has accomplished over your tenure?
There's so much I think our team has to be proud of. The faculty excellence. When I see, just this year, we received the Carnegie classification for a research university. And we've been aspiring to become an R2, and that's still on the horizon. We still are focused on becoming an R2, but getting that designation this year, it demonstrates the hard work that our researchers have been putting in doing research in incredible ways that have impact, from climate change to clean water, food insecurity, in the STEM areas, but in the social sciences. So when I see where we are today, I look at the excellence that is being recognized with our rankings, with the research designation. I have a great sense of pride in what we've been able to achieve with entrepreneurship. When I arrived on the campus, entrepreneurship and experiential learning were part of my vision, because I believe there is this great opportunity in our region especially to build up entrepreneurs and ensure that our students are on a parallel track, get that degree, but this world is changing rapidly, and they need to be able to think differently wherever they're working to navigate the change that's happening and be leaders in that change. But this generation and future generations, they're going to have to pivot. They're going to have to think differently and may have to create their own product or a business. They need to have the tools to do that. So we've been able to realize that vision for entrepreneurship, infusing entrepreneurship throughout the curriculums, but right on our campus we have an entrepreneurship living learning community.
I was going to ask you
residence
about that, yes.
hall connected to an entrepreneurship innovation center. Very unique. Understanding where we are today and how we need to deliver education, you know, all the time thinking about how we need to prepare these students to pivot and navigate. And then finally, experiential education is part of that hallmark I wanted to instill and ingrain in Bowie State University, because I truly believe that experiential learning connects our students to that larger global community, thinking about their careers and the path that they're on and where they're heading, and deepening their understanding of what they're learning in the classroom to the real world. Those internships help students to hit the ground running when they graduate, so that they're not just trying to figure it out when they get into our workplace. You know, how do you navigate the politics? How do you, you know, communicate? How do you dress? How do you go into this environment and stand with the best of them? It builds self-efficacy. So students, when they graduate from Bowie State University, they feel that they can stand with the best of the best, and they do.
Seems like you're teaching them, whereas the rest of the world may be playing checkers, you want them to play chess. You want them to have
Three-dimensional
strategy.
chess. Three-dimensional.
Let's go back to experiential learning and entrepreneurship. You launched a conference several years ago that's now become like a national conference. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
It comes from that Entrepreneurship Innovation Center under the direction of Jonetta Hardy. She's the director of that center, has done a phenomenal job of reaching out to our fellow HBCUs and again demonstrating that and leading to help our students on our other HBCU campuses get those skills, those essential skills that they need through entrepreneurship, and making sure that it's not just about Bowie State University. You know, our HBCUs have unique cultures and histories, and we want to stand them up. We want to partner and help lead the way also for all of us to rise. You know, rising tides lifts all boats. And so we've been very pleased to year after year have that conference. And for the last couple of years, it was affiliated with the White House Initiative for HBCUs. And that was a tremendous success in partnering with the White House Initiative for HBCUs so that we could spread the word. And not only HBCUs were participating, predominantly white institutions, others joined us to learn from best practices and also set up their institutions for those skills that are so important for students today around entrepreneurship.
So you've had an amazing tenure, an amazing journey since you've arrived at Bowie. Where do we go next? What can we expect? What's the future look like for Bowie State University?
I would say change is part of the fabric of higher education, part of the fabric of our thinking for the next strategic plan. which is entitled Boldly Forward. We will launch it July 1st of this year. So we've been racing to excellence, and there are many achievements under that strategic plan, but we're going boldly forward, and we must, because change is inevitable. And so we are leading the way, looking at how we need to build out our infrastructure, ensuring that we're staying ahead of the game with artificial intelligence and the impact that it has for higher education. What is the delivery method for how we meet students where they are, because they are tech savvy. Many of them are coming in with the notion of building products and businesses, meeting students where they are today, and that requires that we become more entrepreneurial in our thinking, ready to navigate change and lead change. And so I see on the horizon transformation, even more so than what we have brought about. You know, we've had to transform through the pandemic. Transformation, we were already in that change mode, but that pandemic, and it's been said before, accelerated the pace of change. So when we went into the pandemic, we had courses online, but we didn't have programs fully online. Today we can pivot and change on a dime if we need to go to a virtual platform. Today we are strategically delivering more programs online. And in the future, I imagine that we will continue to balance what we need to do in a hybrid fashion, some online, some in person, and meeting students where they are. I imagine we're going to have even more programs aligned with the workforce. We've created 19 new academic programs in the last few years, and we will continue to pivot and align with the workforce, and we need to do that so that students are getting that ROI when they graduate, the return on their investment, because we know, you know, it is costly to come to school, and Bowie State has a very low price point, just over $9,000 for tuition and fees. For some, that sounds, you know, very low, and it is in comparison to other schools, but we understand that it's an investment, and we want students to have that return on their investment when they graduate, a career lined up through after doing internships, getting those jobs that they have worked so hard for. But we also want them to be prepared for not just the first job, but for the fifth and whatever else they need to do, success beyond completion of their degrees.
So we mentioned that Bowie is celebrating 160 years.
Yes. So
I'm going to ask my question this way. When you look back over the 160-year history from its founding in Baltimore, what is one thing that you think the public needs to know about that 160-year history? Anything that comes to mind about the fact that Bowie was born, and had it not been born, this possibly may not have been possible? And the second question is, 160 years from now, historians look back on the tenure of Dr. Aminta H. Breaux, 10th president of Bowie State University. What will they say?
Well, let me start with 160 years from now, I want them to know Bowie State University for the excellence that we have. And then the resilience. When I think about our founding, 1865, that had to come through a whole lot of, you know, just determination, persistence, a sense of obligation, and that allowed them to overcome those obstacles to provide education to newly emancipated slaves, you know, new citizens of our communities. For me, I would like to be remembered for never giving up. My father taught me, and he taught his Olympic athletes in track and field, you cross over that finish line, I don't care if you walk, crawl, whatever, you cross over that line and you finish strong. And you ensure that you left your mark, you know, you finished the race. And so I want to be remembered for, I finished this race, I finished strong. As the first woman appointed to the presidency of Bowie State University, she led the way, opened doors for others to walk through, and she left her mark.
Dr. Breaux, you've been fantastic. A few more questions. You're an innovative leader. you led the effort, or you helped lead the effort to recruit the Central Intercollegiate Athletic Association, known as the CIAA.
Yes.
The postseason basketball tournament, which is one of the largest in the country, outpacing Division I tournaments like the ACC and the SEC with a storied tradition. Why was it important to lead the effort to recruit that most important conference to Baltimore?
Well, I wanted everyone to see what I see every day. You know, Maryland is a great state with great leadership, and we have the opportunity to bring so many others to this region through the wonderful opportunities that are here in the city of Baltimore. The city offers a great deal. Yes, it's about the harbor, but it's so much more. And again, growing up in a city, what I see when I come into the city of Baltimore are these communities. I see the history. I know a bit about that history because of my position as president for Bowie State University. And I think there's so much we can share with the alumni who come to the CIAA year after year. You know, there's a rich history there where we have families, many generations. They can tell you about how many years they've been coming and bringing their children and grandchildren, great-grands to that event. And I think there's a story to tell for the CIAA. You know, it is the oldest African-American athletic conference. And I think there's a connectedness with Bowie State University. We serve as a host university. And I think there's a combined benefit and ability for us to tell a story. And you know, oral histories are very important. Yes. You know, we know about our history as a people of African Americans because of those histories and those stories passed down through generations. I think there's still a lot for us to do to tell those stories, and what better place to do it than in the city of Baltimore. We have great leadership here in the state with Governor Wes Moore. He's been highly, highly supportive. He's, you know, he shows up, he's there, he loves basketball, and we know that we have the #1 fan right here in the mayor, Brandon Scott, who is an incredible leader. And it's that collaborative approach, along with Visit Baltimore under Al Hutchinson and so many others, that have brought together an incredible opportunity for the CIAA to be here. And so when I saw what they were going to bring to the CIAA, there was no doubt in my mind that this is where we needed to be. And they've shown it year over year that this is the place where they want the CIAA to be. From the governor across our legislators, they come in to show their support, giving proclamations to say, we want you here. And so, you know, it's always good to be wanted.
Always good to be wanted.
It's clear from the top down and across the state that the CIAA is valued here. And I believe that we've brought great economic benefit to this region, you know, each year, you know, demonstrating that, you know, this really is a good fit for the CIAA, but for the city. And the CIAA has a great sense of commitment to each region, wherever we are. We believe in giving back. Again, that's the hallmark of our HBCUs. And under the direction of our commissioner, Jackie McWilliams Parker, who is an amazing leader in her own right, strong, strong leader. I believe that we continue to bring great economic benefit to this region, partnering with Under Armour and others who say, this is where we want you to be. And so it's been shown year over year.
Correct me if I'm wrong on this. I may have my numbers a little confused, but the tournament has been here now for 5 years.
Well, we just finished our 4th year.
The 4th year, so this coming year will be the 5th year.
Yes.
And the annual economic impact is somewhere around 30 plus million?
Yes, last year, $32.5 million, and we hope to continue to grow that. And you know, this has seen a steady increase. When we came out of the pandemic, it was around a little over, close to $20 million as the pandemic was ending, and then the 32.5, and the numbers continue to climb. You know, it took some doing to do a basketball tournament during the pandemic, but we did it.
Didn't give up.
No,
Finished your job.
First year we did that virtual,
Yeah.
and then we just continue to see the numbers climb, and we see the seats being filled and the hotels being filled up, the restaurants benefiting. So it truly is a great fit for the CIAA and for the city of Baltimore.
So it's been about $120+ million impact.
So we are seeing that grow, yes.
So as a leader in higher education and a leader of an HBCU, being the CEO of any organization is not easy. What motivates you when times are tough? What motivates you to keep going?
It's a sense of purpose. It's not about being in a job. It's about being in a place where I'm supposed to be. And I'm a woman of faith, and so I do believe that, you know, there's something greater than all of this. And so I look at, you know, that history that I talked about earlier, but having a sense of purpose and looking at those students. If ever I'm feeling down, I just walk my campus. I'm known to sit at Soul Food Wednesdays that we have on the campus of BSU, and I invite everyone to come in for Soul Food Wednesdays. Can I come on Wednesday? You can definitely come for Soul Food.
Tell them to fix a plate for me and put it on the side.
I will. You're going to see, you know, our staff. They will treat you like royalty. They love to, you know, serve up their dishes, and we have a great partner with our dining services, Aladdin, that does a great job, and they respect that tradition of Soul Food Wednesdays, and I just love it. So if ever I'm feeling a little bit down, I just go and sit with the students, or I walk the hallways and talk with a professor, hear about their research and what's going on for them. And that lifts me up quite a bit, because you can't walk that campus and not get excited when you talk to a student about what their day has been like. I ask them about, you know, who's your favorite professor and what's your favorite subject? What are your aspirations? Where do you hope to be? And that just inspires me. The same with the faculty. When I'm talking with, you know, whether it be a professor in natural sciences about the work that she's doing in Kenya with study abroad, or taking students over, you know, to Kenya, or going down to one of the islands, or, you know, hearing from one of our professors about the work that we're doing in Jessup Correctional Facility for our incarcerated students. And that inspires me to think, you know, I need to do more, I need to pick it up, I need to race faster, I need to pick my chin up off the ground, because every day is truly a blessing.
I want to share with our viewers that when we efforted to tell the story of Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass, you were one of the first leaders in the state that said Bowie State University wants to support that effort. Indeed, you became the first HBCU to sponsor a film on PBS nationally.
Yes.
And it wouldn't have been possible. We're coming out of COVID. It would not have been possible without your support, and we're grateful for your support.
Was glad to do so, very much honored to do so.
And we are truly appreciative of our partnership with you. You've been an innovative, out-of-the-box thinker. First HBCU to sponsor a film on PBS. You saw the value of public media. We've been partnering with Bowie to tell the story during HBCU Week and the CIAA over the last 4 or 5 years. How can public media better serve HBCUs, or what possible role could public media play in telling the stories of HBCUs across the country?
I would say spread the wealth, meaning visit those campuses, hear their stories. BSU has a rich and long history, but each campus among the more than 100 HBCUs has a unique story to tell about their resilience. I think about, you know, places like Shaw University, that is the mother of so many other HBCUs. There's a story there, you know, and you know that story has been told to a certain extent, but I think there's so many other audiences that need to see it. So promoting, marketing those stories, pushing those messages out, so that not just those who know about our HBCUs are watching, but those who may never have, you know, known about an HBCU. We need to do more to promote these stories, and you know, the story of Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman, because it's an American story. It's not just about our HBCUs or just about African American history, because African American history is American history.
Yes.
We would not be the nation we are today but for those individuals. And for me as a leader, you know, I think about that, you know, so frequently. And I think about my mother's side of the family, the Loney family, that my ancestors fought in the Civil War. One of my ancestors transported slaves across the Susquehanna River to that area of Lancaster County.
Wow.
Where I had the privilege of working at Millersville. And so we need to tell these stories. Not all of it is in the history book, so as you sit and you interview individuals, you learn something that you would have never have known because it's not in a book.
Yes.
It's because someone's sitting with you and telling you, this is the story, this is what I experienced. I learned so much when I went to Bowie State University about those students who protested on the campus of BSU in 1968 who were incarcerated because they protested for better facilities for BSU to have. Their stories aren't well known. It happened in 1968 when so much more was happening, and right around the time of the assassination of Dr. King. So the stories of those students who were fighting a good fight, they weren't known, and I know it now because I'm on the campus. But there are many more stories that should be told, need to be told.
Innovative leader, scholar, accomplished so much during your career. If you had an opportunity to go back and talk to a young Aminta walking across the stage at Temple University to receive her bachelor's degree, what would you say?
There is so much excitement ahead for you. Persist, don't give up, because you know when you're young, when you hit those roadblocks, it feels like you'll never overcome them. Everything is drama when you're young. You know, you feel that, oh my goodness, can I get over that? And I've been through, in my young career, my young life, there were those moments where I said, oh my gosh, you know, it's all gonna fall apart. I'll never be able to get through this course. I can't do statistics. I got through statistics and many more courses in statistics and so much else. So yeah, you can be down for a little while, but you gotta get back up again, and you have to carry on because there's so much excitement ahead. And I've lived through so many exciting times, meeting amazing people I never thought I would meet. On the campus of Bowie State University, one of my thrills and just pleasures has been to meet people like Judith Jamison, who was part of the inaugural week for my presidency. And I thought, I mean, who would have thought as a little girl growing up in West Philadelphia, I would meet Judith Jamison. And then later on, to cut the ribbon on the Dionne Warwick Theater at BSU, one of my icons. You know, I grew up singing around the house these Dionne Warwick songs and listening to my mother playing her songs. And here I am talking with Dionne Warwick and cutting the ribbon. I mean, these are extraordinary stories. And so there's great excitement that lies ahead for so many of my students, and for me as a young professional, I could have never dreamed or imagined I would have had those experiences and so many more. So you gotta push through because there's great excitement and opportunity that lies ahead.
Dr. Breaux, thank you so much for being here. When you mentioned the Dionne Warwick, I think of her collaboration in her song, That's What Friends Are For. And thank you so much for being a friend to MPT and for investing your time, talent, and treasure in the future leaders of tomorrow, your students at Bowie State University. Thank you, and we salute you.
Oh, thank you, Travis.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to bringing you more stories from the Maryland Oral History Project.